falling down in this most recent game, Hammy losing his first game of the day. Both of them, though, having a convincing win on the board. We'll see which one is going to be able to take the W here and move into our finals.
Yeah, you know, I think draft will be important here, but almost more important than that, I really feel like it's how these two guys, like obviously everybody matters, but like the success of these two captains is going to be super important. Like obviously they want to get on some comfort picks here as we do go through the draft, but it feels like, you know, and Hammy really wasn't letting on to it, but it does feel like he's gonna like call in the guns to come towards starting's lane through the early mid game and look to shut him down there.
Yeah, honestly, this mid lane matchup especially feels a little bit personal. The fact that both of these captains are the mid laners kind of levels this whole series up. And honestly, there's a lot of pressure on the captains or on the supports coming on into this game because they're going to be a huge impact in that mid lane matchup as well. Usually you do see that kind of duo mid action. So I mean, you see things like the Churnwalker locked in early. That's definitely a big favor for starting all over.
Yeah, I mean, starting, well, he just got wrecked going against that Churnwalker, so he's going to go and pick it up here. But, you know, you do have Love Darling, who's not like typically a support player, and he's going into that role. He's been doing a good job through the day. But you look on the other side, Jemu, like that's his role. So that's his bread and butter. That's what he's used to. And when it comes down to these important matchups, a lot of times, like, just being comfortable, not hesitating, not having to worry about, like, oh, what is the next item I'm going to pick up here? That's 5 seconds here, 5 seconds there. That's going to add up to just being late into, like, a key rotation at some point in the game, and that can really kind of put your team on tilt.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the big things here for Team Hammy is banning away that Finn, stopping that being the first pick for starting, because that has been very much a crutch for starting's lineup. They've been first picking the Finn and building a composition around that.
He must have also asked about the Churnwalker as well, like thinking about that. Like, you know, Chamu, is this a hero that you want to play? Because obviously that worked really well for them. So maybe that has something to do with it as well. We do see Adagio come in as this fourth pickup here. It looks like this is pretty good synergy thus far. You have some engage with your Lance. You have Yates who can get around the map. Definitely that mobility. He'll bring some damage to the table. You can control a bit of an area with your Versa Judgment coming out of your Adagio, buff up your allies, and really this is like, not to mention now you have Celeste on the back line, right? And she's gonna do just fine with the heroes that they've coupled up thus far.
Yeah, Celeste does okay. I think it's fair to say if she's got a bit of a front line, Celeste will do the damage. You can be damn sure about that. We're gonna have Kinetic locked on in with a Lyra going for starting.
Starting's draft is actually pretty strong. Yeah, Lyra mid. I mean, starting was one of the players that would always pull this pick out, and he played it pretty well. They're also gonna, looks like Delphi's gonna get the Arden. That's a really strong pickup for Delphi there. So
he played the Lyra in the Summer Open when he had to defeat a Celeste. It's fantastic at setting up that hard engage onto the back line. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Hammy's shoulder to be able to survive those engages.
Yeah, like I honestly, I will lean towards starting, a team starting for this game on the condition that starting has a good early game. I feel like if his early game not too strong, he dies a couple times or forced off of his farm, missing some last hits, it's definitely going to go to Hammy. But if he farms well through the first few minutes, they secure that good start for him, they're definitely going to take the W.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the big things, honestly, is going to be when these guys hit level 8, Celeste kind of levels up significantly.
Yeah, she does.
We'll see if it's going to happen. We're jumping into the last game of our group stage. It's starting up against Hammy. I'm going to pass it once again to Scoundrel and Dowsy to kick off the action.
It's the battle for the finals here. Spicy words have been shared between Team Starting All Over and Team Hammy. It all comes down to this. Who will be joining Evo in the finals? We'll have to find out here at Scoundrel on the stage.
Oh, God, I feel bad for the team that ends up losing. This is starting immediately gets blown up. That's a feels bad, man. That's a real feels bad, man. Especially after those words exchanged before this game. Starting definitely going to be a little bit tilted after this, I think. But he will have to keep things shored up. I don't know if you know the changes to Lyra in particular, Dowsy, but she has had some pretty decent changes to her kit. They've loaded a lot of the damage into the second part of her basic attack and taken some damage away from her Imperial Sigil. But she does hit very hard with that empowered basic attack now.
Yeah, and obviously once you get that alternating current, which is so strong in the meta right now, it makes a lot of sense. Delphi, though, I mean, he's just continuing on from the previous game. That Death Triumph starting to stack up. It's unfortunate. He does go down in the red side jungle here of the side of Team Hammy. 2-0. Definitely not the start you want when you're trying to get into the final.
No, exactly. And Hammy will... Hey, I don't think starting will want Hammy to leave with the bragging rights after that game. But Delphi definitely not off to a great start. I think he wanted to abuse how much was committed to mid, but it was such an easy rotation back for Archaic and for Hammy in that situation there. Hammy now finds himself back in the mid lane. Delphi's kind of lost, kind of wandering around, stuck in this mid lane with starting, and I'm wondering whether he is going to head down towards that bot lane to help support Mixi on this kinetic. As you can see, Love Darling making his way back towards the mid lane on this Churnwalker.
Yeah, playing the Churnwalker this time, so it's a bit of a switch up really for everyone on the side of team starting all over. Really just mixing up the heroes that they're bringing to the table. Love Darling on that Churn, starting all over, trying out this Lyra. I mean, definitely has the potential later on in the game, Scoundrel, to do damage. I have to see it to believe it, though. I mean, Team Hammy on this Celeste, it's just such a powerful hero in this current meta. Yugi, though, on this Yates. I mean, Yugi is known for his one-tricking, really, Scoundrel. So is Yates the new hero that Yugi's going to add to the table? Well, he lands that. The more comes through, and I mean, Delphi's dead again.
Delphi is not having a good time right now. He's kind of lost across the map. Mixi does get the steal there, which is actually a pretty big steal for Mixi as Hammy is rotating to the jungle. This is a stranglehold being put down by Hammy's team at this point in time. Mixi now walks straight into that weapon power buff.
I mean, he stole it again, but can he escape? No.
He cannot, and he gifts it straight over to Hammy in that situation.
Oh no,
and this
starting
is tough.
it again. They're all just dying. Love Darling under the tower. I mean, Lulu Zero on this weapon power Sky laying down damage from afar. Hammy and Yugi basically jungling the other side of the jungle. Already, Scoundrel, there's almost a 2,000 gold lead generated by 3.5 minutes. And Gaspy's all alone in the top side. Great Giffian War knocks him back. There's the Impale as well. So another kill going over to the side of Team Hammy, I should say, but they are happy at Scoundrel because this is the start you want. You want a rematch against Evo.
Oh, this is rough for Starting's team. This is not what they would have wanted to open up with. Delphi literally about 3 levels behind, it feels like, compared to everybody else. It's Gaspy who took a pick away from Yugi, struggling in this top lane. Yugi having a pretty great time of it. Mixi also a little bit behind in terms of what he could do. The only thing that I think they can take solace...
Yugi's marched into bot lane and he's kind of just 1v2ing at this point. He's going to clear the wave. I mean, I actually believe Yugi can 1v2. Let's see if he goes for it. Delphi's there, kind of caught out. Shamu's come down for the support. Mixi's laying down damage, but Yugi wants it. Wants to pull Delphi back in for more. The damage coming out, oh, he misses his more. That's actually just going to be death for Yugi, I think. I think Mixi and Delphi should be able to follow this up with a kill. See if Yugi does go down. Shamu's trying to keep him alive. Does so for now, and they trade the damage onto Shamu instead. Sadaju slightly less tanky, but has the flask. So, I mean, if you connect that more, I think you do all right on the 8s, but missing it is such key damage out of your kit.
One of the things that I think you can take solace in, if you are starting all over his team, is that Lulu Ziu has basically been starving himself of a huge amount of farm in this game. He has been rotating with Hammy, but hasn't really been farming in his lane on the top side of the map. And Mixi himself has generated a large amount of gold by heavily farming. He's 20 CS up on Lulu. Now, Lulu's probably made that up with all the kills, but right now Mixi's actually in a pretty strong position.
Look at this, Lulu. It's Yugi and Archaic just going in. They want to try and take out this bottom side jungle for themselves. The weapon treant's so juicy. A good root comes through onto Mixi, but Love Darling's coming down. Shamu's here for the heals. Yugi pulls in Mixi, going on in. That's going to be the kill going over to Archaic. And now the weapon treant should be able to be secured as well. Starting all over. Doesn't really have the follow-up damage on this Lyra at this point to be able to do much. Weapon treant secured for Archaic. Yugi pulls back Love Darling into the fight. Delphi's here, though, to provide some damage. Not as much, though, as his team needs. And you're all right about Lulu Zio. I mean, if you compare Lulu Zio to Mixi, quite a significant CS differential. But he's got the kills going for him. He's got quite a few items already stacked up. So potentially not as far behind as the CS numbers indicate.
No, and I'm going to be honest, I think Delphi is letting the team down right now, and he has been over the last couple of games as well. Delphi's struggled to know where to be on the map. He's kind of been giving away kills unnecessarily, being overly aggressive, and is now severely behind in experience compared to his counterpart as well. He just needs to shore things up. I think he just needs to support Mixi directly, who I truly believe is likely going to be one of the major carries in this game. I think starting in this situation, I probably would have thrown the gauntlet down. You know, I would have just said, right, I'm playing Ringo mid. I'm literally just going to go in and play. I'm just play Ringo mid. I know that Ringo's got a huge spike with Tension Mode Sorrowblade just because of the attack speed steroid that he gets as well from his own kit. Genuinely think that would have been. I would have just done that if I was starting personally. Because actually, I don't think weapon power mids are that bad at all. Especially with being supported by a captain pretty much the entire game.
Look at this in the mid lane. That's going to be a Soulstorm laid down onto starting all over. This mid lane turret not going to be long for the world. Mixchi's here to try and keep it alive. Arcade pulled under. Arcade locked up and dead. Starting all over finds a kill, and here comes the engage from Delphi. They're trying to find more. That's a second going the way of team starting all over. Shamu pulled in. They're going to find the third. And it's only Yugi left alive in the mid lane to walk away from. Huge turnaround for team starting all over.
Yeah, Delphi finally hits level 6, makes a great engage play onto Hami, who does not have that reflex block available, starting as well, baiting that in, but that was really all Love Darling on the Churnwalker, set that up perfectly to allow the team to find that engage, and Mixi, like we said, on the Sorrowblade item spike, is quite far ahead because of the farm he's been getting for free in the bot lane. They managed to abuse that in the mid game, and they equal the gold with that Ghost Wing pickup as well.
That's huge. This game is literally starting all over now for the side of starting here. With the gold equalized and the Ghost Wing now theirs, they can potentially start pushing the gold in their own favor here. Gaspy's holding off Lulu in the top side. That's what the Reza needs to do. If Love Darling can continue making plays on this Churnwalker, pulling him everyone into sigils, then they're not in bad shapes here. It's going to be a tough road, but it's one that they can take, Scoundrel.
Yeah, absolutely. Mixi now working towards a tension bow too. I actually think starting needs to be so careful starting. Oh my word.
Starless Storm connects, but it's not enough to keep that Churnwalker alive. The heal coming through from the sigil, I didn't think it come through enough. Delphi onto Hammy doing some damage. The Crystal Trance secured by Gaspy, which is nice. For the side of starting all over, some sigil damage goes out. Here comes Yugi, though, onto Mixi, onto Delphi. 4 versus 2, and Delphi gets pulled on in, gets rooted on up, gets taken on down by Hammy. Starting over, has to be careful in this mid lane. Has that right bulwark to try and keep everyone away from him, but can't save the turret as it does get sniped away. This is what we kind of expected from Team Hammy after their ridiculously good starting Scoundrel. Just domination across the board. They've shown such great macro determination. So far, so good, but I mean, it's not the dominant win that I would expect. I mean, look, oh my goodness, Gaspy onto Ludo Zero. Here's Yugi, the save, potentially. Man, that's such a cool ultimate coming on in from nowhere. Oh, the snipe comes through from starting all over. Doesn't look like Yugi can keep him alive. Maybe Yugi's in trouble as well. Love Darling going to try and hook him up, pull him back on in. Able to find it. Trying to run away from this Reza, but there's the Churnwalker. Oh, and that should be a kill going Gaspy's way it is. In fact, starting finds it. That's a turret in the top lane gone. Just to re-emphasize the point, really, Hammy's team's not really executing as well as they should be.
No, but I think they got a huge advantage off that mid lane tower take. Starting, went for the blue buff, if you remember, and I just think completely mispositioned. Like, they are literally in the brush over the other side of that blue buff area, and you don't expect them to have vision over there. I don't know, a bit awkward if you ask me. That is going to be a kill for Hammy as they get a pick onto Delphi, who is 1-5 right now, but the rest of the team is doing work. Gaspy now at that 2-item spike, which we can see is so powerful on the Reza, and Love Darling again, just being that monster front line right now. Really strong.
Yeah, it needs to be as well. Solar Storm rips on through from Hammy. Not much healing available to starting all over his team, of course, with this Lyra being a CP mage at this point, really. Not going to be providing the heals that you sometimes see the Lyra do from the captain position. Team Hammy, with the Ghost Wing spawning, might have an objective in sight. We'll have to see what they do decide to go for. 11 minutes in, just a minute away from that Black Claw joining us as well. We know that Hammy's team has been so good at executing on towards these global objectives and making sure they push their lead. Mixi in this bot lane, maybe overextended, not able to dodge the impale, and that should be Hammy coming in for the kill as Mixi does go down. makes that Ghost Wing even more of an objective that Team Hammy can look towards.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mixi just didn't have the vision, didn't respect the fact that it was very easy to catch you out at that position around the Ghost Wing, especially having it spawned, and Mixi just not having the best. I think Mixi's been great in teamfight situations, but when he's been caught in these solo lanes, he's been a little bit unaware of map movements, hasn't been really paying attention to which members of Hammy's team are available in vision right now. You always have to respect the opponents that are not currently in your vision, because the way I always say it whenever I'm teaching people about Vainglory MOBAs in general, always assume that the enemy that isn't on the map is right next to you. You have to always assume that. And Delphi now managing to escape away from Archaic, Yugi, and Shamu, and will manage to just back out.
Yeah, that's not going to be another death to the counter here. I mean, starting all over has not gone towards the alternating current that I would have anticipated from Elira, going towards more burst damage with the Spellfire Dragon's Eye for the sustained damage.
Yeah, it's more burst orientated now, Dowsy, simply because of the way that the second basic attack is loaded. The attack speed only helps so much with that. You're really just looking to get big, powerful basic attacks off. It doesn't really matter about the attack speed because the animation on the second part of her attack is always locked into however long it takes regardless, so the attack speed doesn't help a huge amount. You just want to load up the burst on it.
Have to see if starting all over can lay down the burst, because we know how much that Hammy is laying down. Remember though, Scoundrel, the winner of this does have to go up against Evo, and you kind of want a dominating victory. Well, that's not good for Luluzio, as that's going to be Gatsby laying down the damage. Here comes Yuki and Shamu from the backlines trying to turn this fight around for Team Hammy, but the damage is not there. That's going to be the kills going the way of starting all over's team as he lays down deep from the backline. Boom goes the sigil onto everyone, but everyone's so low on the side of starting all over that they do have to start to fall back. A pull from Yuki, a impale from Archaic will spell disaster. Hammy's still very healthy and has a lot of energy to boot. Delphi goes on in, dodges the core collapse, but stunned against the wall. Here comes the engage coming through from Love Darling. They put Hammy on the backline. Great portal coming through from starting all over. Turns that fight in their favor. They're able to find two off the back of that. The Crystal Treant goes their way, and they want a Ghost Wing as well.
No, this is so risky. This Ghost Wing is so risky. If Luluzio plays this correctly, he could clean up the entire team. They're going to get it, though. Lulu doesn't feel confident enough. That's a great death from above. Locks up two. Love Darling is in the middle. Oh, it doesn't matter. The burst comes through. 2 kills for the side of starting all over. I mean, it looked good, and then it got deleted. No, it looked really good. I'm not going to argue with you, but he literally just Suri striked into the middle of the team. I don't really know how to phrase this, but that was kind of bad. You have a range advantage where you can dance around a very low HP enemy with a great death from above. You don't really want to be diving into the middle of the enemy team. That's all I've got to say.
That's all you have to say, Scoundrel. Gold is in favor of starting all over at this point. They've pulled it back. Is it comeback all over at this point? Maybe. Too soon to tell, really. But so far, so good. After such a disastrous start here, hope is being brought back, really, to the Sovereign's Rise. And we'll have to see if they can continue the threat. The Ghost Wing's there for a little while longer. Almost depleted. Wonder where Hammy's team is thinking. There's a Solar Storm, just a warning shot more than anything.
So, we are in a situation now where Hammy is 5,000 gold behind now. He's going to potentially be caught out by Love Darling here.
Huge engage. The portal as well cuts them off, and oh my goodness, Hammy, he didn't stand a chance. Down he goes. Archaic's being taken down by Gatsby as we talk. The burst comes through from Delphi. Mid lane turret destroyed at 15.5 minutes. Finally breaking open that outer rim, and now the Black Claw going to be started up.
Black Claw immediately getting started here. This is a really good solidification for starting all over's team. They have started to take control, and it doesn't really feel like there's much that Hammy can do at this point in time. They're trying to catch starting down the bottom side of the map, but he will not get caught, and this will be a free Black Claw.
Free Black Claw indeed. All of the advantage that Hammy's team was able to generate gone. Yuki steals the Black Claw! Yuki steals the Black Claw!
What a lad! Oh, what an absolute beast. Is that what they needed to bring themselves back here? It's not going to get them an immediate gold lead, but getting something with the Black Claw potentially can. Yugi coming up big.
They're going for the fight here. Moving on in, it's going to be the Churn Walker locked against the wall. Starting over, dives on in, potentially to his death as Archaic roots him down. Can he get the kill? No, he can't. Shamu is dead. Gaspy cleans up on the back line. It is only Archaic alive. But this Black Claw was stolen and is going to find this mid lane turret.
Yeah, it might not mean too much in the grand scheme of things, though, Dalsy, because that was still a cleanup fight for starting all over. The Celeste is generally quite good into a Churnwalker, right? Because you always outrange Churnwalker, and especially if you've gone for this Frostburn, you're going to keep him at bay, you're going to stop him from landing hooks. But starting is negating that with the portals. Every time Hammy steps up, starting portals on top of him, Bright Bulwarks him in position, and then they try and burst him out with Mixi and with Gaspy. I don't know if there's much that Hammy can do about it. They really need Archaic and Chamu to be there for the peel at the right time. But right now, it's looking pretty grim.
It is looking pretty grim, but God Yugi has kept things alive for Hammy here. We'll have to see if it means anything going forward. Like you mentioned, it might not mean much in the grand scheme of things. It is still a 7,000 golden advantage to teams starting all over. 17 and a half minutes, and this is the closest game we've had today, and it's exactly what you want in that contest for second place, Scoundrel. But still, you have to be looking forward to the fact that one of these people go against Evo after this game.
Yeah, and Evo's team has looked arguably the strongest by quite a large way right now, but Hammy's team are in a lifeline at this point. And right now, Starting's team is scaling up. They've got a Kinetic at almost her full build in terms of items. She might go for a 4th damage item, she might not. Gaspy's at his full item build in terms of damage. Starting is in a really strong position too. Hammy now working towards this Broken Myth. I think that'll be a big one for him. Might allow him to control the pace of these team fights a bit better, deal some damage to that front line. But they just need to peel back for Hammy. It's all about Hammy just zoning away and stopping this Starting's team from getting close enough to find a good portal.
Absolutely. At this point, can they do it? No, they can't. Lulu, he just gets destroyed. Great portal comes through from Starting all over, and that's all she wrote in the top side for Lulu's Zio. It goes down once again so quickly. Yugi, he's in the mid lane just trying to clear these waves, trying to put some pressure down. Of course, he can go across the map and pretty much decide where he wants to be at any time. 19 minutes, and it doesn't seem like Starting all over ready to commit too much. They are moving towards the bot side though. Most of the members trying to push down Yugi. But look, Yugi's just sending up waves across the map, always trying to dictate where team Starting all over is at any point. Hammy's in the mid lane, keeping this turret alive. Archaic, Shamu, and Yugi's there. They pull Starting all over across the wall. Right, well, it comes through to try and stop up any re-engage. And the damage goes down by team Starting all over. Hammy lays down a Solar Storm, trying to steal that Crystal Treant, but not quite able to from afar. Really just feels like an engage is just half a second off at this point. They're going for the bot side here. Mixi gets pulled in by Yugi. Death from above. Doesn't quite connect. The gauntlet's there as well. Yugi's trying to go around. Cool collapse locks up Mixi, but he stays alive for a little while. Not enough. Starting all over finds Hammy. Starting all over doing the damage from afar. Can Starting all over continue the deeps is the question. Yes, he can, as Shamu falls down. Kills going in favor of team Starting all over. A 3-for-1 in favor of team Starting all over. And the Black Claw just landed. It'll be a god still if Yugi's able to do it again.
Oh, it's just that the fact that both Lulu and Hammy, they get too antsy for a kill. They put themselves right in the firing line, and because they don't have vision of starting, he finds an excellent portal on top of them. If starting portals on top of either Lulu or Hammy lands that Bright Bulwark down, and they don't have the peel of Chamu, Yugi, and Archaic there, they're gonna go down. That's the really big issue in these teamfight situations. They need to allow Yugi to be right on top of Hammy and Lulu, so that when a portal does come through, they can look to peel immediately and try and get them out of that portal range. That is the one big play they need to wait for in a team fight before they try to execute on anything. They need to wait for the portal to come through. Then they need to kite back using Archaic, Scythian Wall, Yugi looking for a stun with his B. That is ideally the situation they need to land themselves in.
Dude, that Black Claw so close to being contested there from the side of Team Hammy, but in the end it doesn't. Ghost Wing and Black Claw secured. Nothing that Team Hammy can do about it now. They just have to defend, and it is going to be team Starting all over, pushing down this mid lane with the Dragon to try and take these turrets down. The first one goes without a hitch. Super simple stuff for Team Starting All Over. They have so much engaged potential, remember, from this Churn Walker, from this Lyra, from this Arden, that they can dictate when the fight starts, and they can pretty much disengage it on a whim as well. Second turret falls very quickly. Armory now exposed. And here comes the engage from Team Starting All Over. Looking for the backline is Gaspy onto Hammy. Hammy going very low, and he's taken out very quickly. 2 kills already for Team Starting All Over. It's going to be Gaspy losing his life. But Mixi's doing the work. Double, looking for a triple onto Yuki, and he should be able to find Lunazio trying to clean up, but I don't think he can. He's inside the gauntlet, and that's going to be the ace coming through for Team Starting All Over. From the hell of Pit's hell, they bring it back. And that's going to be them in the final against Team Evolve.
Yeah, it was just such a good comeback. They finally found the remedy to their teamfight situations. Hami passed a little bit awkwardly in that last teamfight, and you can't escape both the portal and then the follow-up of this weapon power Reza. They tried, but unfortunately just weren't able to keep their distance long enough in these teamfights, and that is Starting All Over getting the win.
Don't count your chickens before you hatch. It's Team Starting All Over in the final versus Evo. Let's throw it back to Munch and Humanist to break